President-elect Donald Trump is working on his new administration. His first pick is his campaign manager, Susie Wilds, who will be his chief of staff. She has a long history in Florida politics, and she's not the only Floridian who could be tapped to fill a cabinet seat.
CBS News Miami's Jim DeFede is joining us. And Jim, I know there are a lot of names from Florida, but let's talk a little bit about Susie Wilds. She's got a lot of experience in Florida politics.
She does. I've known Susie for a long time, and it's one of those things where what you realize is that she is the classic political operative who likes to stay behind the scenes, but she is known as someone who is exceptionally tough, nicknamed the Ice Queen at times. It's going to be her job, her responsibility to sort of keep those crazier influences out of the Oval Office. I think she's up to that task.
All right, speaking of other Floridians who may be tapped for a spot in the cabinet, Marco Rubio, perchance. What are the likelihood, though, that he would want to give up his Senate seat for that, though?
Well, I will tell you, I think that there is actually a really good chance that Marco Rubio would be willing to give that up. Yes, the Republicans have taken control of the Senate, which means that he would then be in line to be chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, which is one of those committees that once you get on and rise to that ranks, you usually don't want to give up. But to be Secretary of State, to have that position, to basically be the U.S. emissary for foreign policy around the world, that is right up Marco Rubio's alley. And I will tell you, Susie Wilds being the chief of staff sort of helps with that because she has a very good working relationship with Marco Rubio. Now, other names from Florida that we're talking about, we have Joseph Ladapo, the current Surgeon General. Ron DeSantis has been openly pushing him. In fact, he sent out a tweet the other day in basically floating the idea that Ladapo, there you see it, should be the HHS Secretary, Health and Human Services Secretary. I'm not so sure, that that's necessarily going to work. It could, but Ladapo is very, very controversial, and I'm not sure Trump wants to give DeSantis any leeway. They may have repaired their past, but I think there's still some tension there. The other name that I want to let people sort of keep an eye on is South Florida Congressman Carlos Jimenez. I think that there is a good possibility that he could be, if he wanted to leave Congress, and again, that's a big if, but he may want a position as a Homeland Security Secretary. I've heard him talk about, or I've heard that discussed as well.
Let's keep playing this game. If Marco Rubio becomes Secretary of State, that opens up a Senate seat. What are the chances Ron DeSantis will appoint himself?
Probably not himself, but I do think you're close. Very close, Elliot. I think you're warm. I think that who he could appoint theoretically, and I've heard this name starting to be floated, is his lieutenant governor candidate, Janette Nunes, with the idea being, all right, if Marco Rubio leaves to become Secretary of State, then you want to replace it with another Cuban, and Janette Nunes would be, I think, someone who would be under serious consideration to fill out his term and then run for re-election down the line.
Oh, this game is so much fun.
Oh, it's great.
We'll have to see how it all shakes out. Jim DeFede, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.